Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be talking about someone we haven't talked about before on the channel, and that is going to be Clara Dao. Now, Clara has gained a lot of notoriety, especially recently, for a decision that she made that has had a lot of people talking about her. And the way that I actually kind of found out about this person was actually a few years ago. Rachel had mentioned her to me. There was a little bit of a controversy that was kind of going on then. I decided, I'm not really feeling it, and so we didn't end up making a video about it. But then yesterday, I was recording a podcast with my friend Fraser. We have a podcast together called Over the Pond, and he brought this up, and we had quite a lengthy conversation about this person, and it kind of made me want to, and he actually suggested, he's like, this might be a good video for you. And so I was really kind of thinking about it and looking into it, and I found a video that I think is perfect to kind of go over, and that's what we're going to be going over. And so this is the video that we're going to be going over. And the title of it is very interesting, right? It says, I became the most hated body positivity influencer, my side of the story. So you might be kind of like wondering what's that all about. So Clara has a very interesting niche on the internet. Her niche is being someone with small bobs, okay? Very flat chest, right? And she makes a lot of content about that. And so if we actually go to her YouTube channel and we filter it by most popular, you know, the most popular video, small bobs confidence, how to love your flat chest. And then the next video, why I'm flat chested, 4 reasons why you have small bobs. And then we go down here, small bobs styling tips. And so that was a huge part of her channel. And then if we actually go down here a little bit, this is from 7 months ago, this video right here that is titled The Surprising Habits That Make Me Skinny. And this was one of the first really big, in my opinion, big controversies that she got into, because people were really upset with the way that she talked about herself and being skinny, and they felt that it was pretty dangerous, the advice that she gave in that video. We're not going to go into that video, partly because sadly, and maybe this makes me a loser, but YouTube is basically demonetizing a lot of people that are really talking and going in depth about that topic. And so I just want to say, like, I know that it's out there, and that's part of why people are kind of upset with her. And we will actually get into that because she mentions it in this video that we're going to be going over, but we're not going to fully go into that. But I just want to say I do understand that it's there, and it definitely plays a role into people being upset about what is going on now. I just want to put that out there. But again, we are going to be mainly focusing on this video right here. And it says, I became the most hated body positive influencer, my side of the story. So the crux of all of this is that all of her content, the majority of her content has been, I have a flat chest, I still love myself, I'm body positive, right? What has happened, I'm sure you've guessed it by now, is that she ended up getting breast augmentation and, you know, made her bobs not so small anymore, right? And people were upset about that. And this is a video of her kind of explaining her side of the story. Now, why do I care or feel that I can add any sort of help, right? Well, for me, the way that I garnered any type of following at the very beginning of my YouTube journey was I uploaded a video titled My Biggest Insecurity, Loose Skin. And in that video, it was all about how I have loose skin, and you know, I'm still very confident about it. So if you don't know, if we go look at my most popular video thing, right? The most popular video, 10 million views, not a flex or anything. My biggest insecurity, loose skin. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this video. If you haven't, really no reason to watch it. It's a young John, 10 years ago, been doing this for a while, right? But I feel that I can relate to an extent of being someone that garnered a big following based on something that you were insecure about, and then you tried to turn that insecurity into something that you're positive about, and then you end up making videos on that thing, right? And so obviously there are differences. It's not one-to-one, but that's why I feel like I have something of value to say. Now that I have been yapping for so long, I apologize. Let's get into this video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. It's 26 minutes, and a lot of it is her kind of saying similar stuff over and over again, which is fine. I do the same thing, but I just don't think it will make a very interesting video if I'm just hearing her kind of say stuff. So we're going to kind of jump around in this video. And so we're going to start kind of in the middle. So if you're kind of confused, you'll end up picking up on it, right? But let's go ahead and go.
My comfortability is like pretty high. For me, life is like, I don't want to take life seriously or too seriously. And for me, I had the flat-chested body for the longest time. Like, I love it. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. I love my chest. I love my flat chest. I think I'm the girl that loved her flat chest like the most in the entire world. Try to find flat-chested girl that loved her flat chest more than me. Like,
So what she's saying here, right, is that she's saying like the kind of crux about what she's saying here is that she didn't get the breast augmentation because she didn't like her flat chest. She actually loves it, right? And so she's saying like, you know, I made so many videos. But, you know, if we look behind her, there's 4 different plaques, right? And a lot of those, you know, there's 1 million subscriber, 100,000 subscriber plaques. A lot of that is going to be based on people watching videos because they felt relatable and they felt they could relate to someone that has something similar that they're struggling with, right? Which is being like having a flat chest. And so with that, there's always, when you are an influencer, especially when you're an influencer that has millions of subscribers and you're making a ton of videos and those videos are getting millions of views, you are making a lot of money from that stuff, right? And so there is always going to be that incentive to continue making those videos. And where this gets murky is that there can be like this genuine feeling of, you know, this is something that I'm very insecure about, and so I want to make this video, right? That's the way I think about it. When I made my biggest insecurity video, going viral wasn't even a thought. I didn't think anything of it, right? I just wanted to talk about this thing that I feel not that many people talk about. But that video went viral, and so of course, in my head, it kind of motivates you to want to continue making that stuff, right? Continue making videos similar to that. And I did that for a while. I don't really talk about it very much anymore because honestly, there's only so much you can say, right? There's only so much you can say. There's only so much. I just felt like I had kind of said everything that I needed to, and so I've transitioned away from that kind of stuff, right? I don't really talk about that much anymore. I do, you know, I mention it on Instagram and stuff like that. It still does get clicks, so let's be real, right? But there is an incentive to continue talking about it. And even if you maybe aren't feeling that confident, you know, if you make a video saying you're confident, that's going to get a lot of attention. And I'm not saying that in like, that means she's a bad person for continuing to do that. I think it's completely a normal thing, but you know, it definitely plays a role for sure.
And make 900 videos about it. And I made it because I loved it. I made it because I'm so confident and proud of my flat chest, and I want every flat-chested girl to feel the same way about their flat chest. That's how convicted, that's how like committed I was to my flat chest. So of course, when I was thinking about, oh, should I get boob job? Like, boob job had...
And so it's just like, where I sit is like, I don't want to say I don't believe that, but if there was no financial incentive at all, and you were just making these videos and you weren't really, you know, maybe 300 people seeing see them, would you continue? I don't know. I don't know what the answer would be there, right? Would you make 900 videos about it if there was only a few people that saw them? I don't know.
It's never crossed my mind for the longest time, okay? But there's a lot of synchronicities and different signs from the universe. It's kind of crazy, but I'll save that for another video. I don't want to like ramble on too much in this video, but like it just suddenly like appeared as an option, as like possible reality for me to step into. And I was like, you know what? I know I'm gonna love my chest like no matter what. Like I think if I was born with a big chest, like overly big or whatever, like even normal size, and you know, every girl would at some point in their life would have insecurity about their chest, right? So I think even if I have like a big, like super big boobs in the beginning, I would make videos about how to feel great about having overly big boob, or how to feel great about having normal sized boobs.
So I'm not saying that she wouldn't do that, but I think, you know, when it comes to social media, I don't think that those videos would have had such an impact and gotten as many views, and then on top of that, as much money, right? Like that stuff can't be separated. And maybe I sound like a broken record, but that always has to be part of the conversation. Like, you cannot skip over that. I mean, obviously no one likes to talk about money. It can feel weird, but that absolutely is part of this whole thing, right? And so, like, I don't think if you're making a video saying how I love my normal sized breasts, it's just not that many people are going to click on the thumbnail. I mean, maybe gooners, but like, you know, like, it's not going to hit the same.
It's just the type of person I am, and I have worked on myself so much over the years. Like, you have no idea how much shit I've been through over the years. You know, I feel like a lot of people, of course, I mean, it makes sense. Like, you don't know me in real life. You don't know my history. You don't know what I've been through, you know? And of course, there is a certain persona that I portray online. And at that point, I was pure and simple. I was making like my flat chested content and being super simple with like my makeup. I don't even wear makeup in my videos, okay? I just wasn't interested in makeup or like fashion that much, to be honest with you all. And that was my version. That was the version of myself back then. And I love her. Like, when I look at myself back then, I'm like, she's so gorgeous. Like, I love her. But everyone changed because everyone grow. As I grow older, I just, like I said, have different interests. Now I want to talk about makeup and beauty and shift away from my body positivity.
So that's, I think, the crux of what is upsetting people, right? Is that you made your whole brand about being body positive, and then you're shifting basically away from that and then doing something that feels like a complete almost betrayal. And like, this is something that's interesting. I brought this up on the podcast too. And I think that this is an important part of the puzzle, is that if this was just someone, right? So say if Clara just existed online, made content, she happened to have a flash chest, but that was not the crux of her content. Maybe she brought it up every once in a while, but very rarely, right? She was just someone that was existing, made content, happened to have a flat chest, right? And then she decided to do this, get a surgery. And then I can, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if like that happened. Someone says, hey, I used to be, you know, you used to inspire me so much because I felt like I could relate to you because I had a flat chest too, right? And then I could see people being like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, it's none of your business what this person does with their body. You're being weird, right? But that changes when, in my opinion, your content is based around that thing, right? It's based around that thing. You're making statements around that thing. You are making money. You're making, you know, tons of money talking about that one thing, saying one specific thing, saying this is how I feel. And then when you switch that up, now when people come and say, hey, I was so inspired by you and now I'm hurt and now I feel betrayed, they have much more of like a leg to stand on, and they have a something that they can base those accusations on and feel like they can, you know, feel validated in that, versus if you were just someone that was existing that happened to have a flat chest, right? I think that there's like, that's a very big difference, you know, but between just someone existing and then someone making their whole personality and their whole persona online around this one singular trait, right?
That I'm never gonna make body positivity content anymore, because like I said, like, it's still something that I believe in. It's still something that I feel like, yeah, like I love the message. But for me, I think body positivity doesn't have to be boxed into like, oh, if you love yourself, then, you know, just be happy with yourself and don't change anything. Of course, I know that if you agree with that message, like, full on, you know, I totally respect that. I think there's definitely validity in that.
And then this goes into what we've talked about many times, is that a lot of times people that are in the body positivity space are not that positive about things, right? About their bodies. They are putting on a persona, and it's almost like she's almost admitting that here, right? Like putting on a persona and like saying they're positive when a lot of times they're really not, right? And I feel like that's very common with people that are very like, I'm positive. And I've always said this from the start. When I made that initial viral video, I said the title of it is My Biggest Insecurity. I was very upfront. This is my biggest insecurity. Through making those videos, I felt more confident. But like, even now with my loose skin, I don't like, you know, I don't film my videos shirtless. I don't like walk around the beach with my shirt off all the time. Like, I still struggle with it, you know? And like, I try to make that very clear with any content that I make about it, right? And so it very, very interesting to, you know, make it an entire persona around this and then kind of switch up. People are hurt, right? People are hurt.
That point of view, but from my point of view, I'm like, love myself. I love myself so much. Changing myself to have fun, to have new experience, to have new version of reality. Like, I see no problem with that. And the love for myself doesn't depend on the size of my chest, okay? It doesn't depend on like the external factor, what I look like on a certain day. It's so deep that I can change myself like physically and still feel that same amount of love or even more, you know?
Okay, that's fine, but where I think a lot of these people that are feeling upset and hurt is that they don't have that option, right? And so this person, I'm not saying that they're necessarily right or that, you know, I don't think that, you know, she's a terrible person, the worst person in the world, right? But I understand where these people are coming from because they looked up to this person significantly. They felt seen, and now this person is changing such a big part of what made those people connect to her, right? And so they are feeling hurt. And she's, in my opinion, kind of like sidestepping the real responsibility here and just being like, you know, I'm still body positive, but I can be body positive when I do this or when I do that. But the reality is there are a lot of people that, you know, have flat chest or whatever. I feel weird talking about that, but like, that don't have an option to change that, right? So they have to try and find a way to be positive, and they thought they found someone that they could relate to, and now they're feeling like, okay, that person's gone now, right? And so they're kind of like mourning that loss, I guess.
I've seen a lot of these comments recently that like, oh, I miss the old Clara. I missed your content before. And like I said, of course, like I understand that because it's why you're here. It's what makes that type of content makes you follow me in the first place. And I am so grateful that you're here. But you also have to understand that like the type of content I was creating, and I was so pure and I was so simple. Do you know that in my own personal life at the time, what I was going through, like you don't know, right? Because
well, yeah, and like obviously there, you know, that's always something you can say. No one really knows exactly what everyone is going through, and I think to an extent that's probably a good thing. I think, you know, we talk a lot about Amberlynn Reed, and I think she shares a little bit too much of what she's going through, and you know, I think it's good to have some things that you keep to yourself. It seems that she's, you know, she was going through a lot, and I, you know, obviously that sucks, and I'm sorry that she was going through that. But, you know, obviously everyone has things that they go through, right? But I wanted to kind of skip ahead to about 16 minutes into this video, because I think that's when, you know, there's other things that I think are interesting to talk about as well. And so we're going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit and then continue.
I've been doing the same thing for the longest time, and I want to get to the next thing. I don't want to tie my identity to just being the flat-chested girl on social media, even though I have no problem with it, okay? With everything I say, I feel like people can just take it out of context and like spin it and make me like seem like I don't love my flat chest, but it's like the furthest thing from the truth, okay? Let's just think about it. Think about it this way, okay? You love your body, and you can still choose to go to the gym every single day with the hope that you would build your dream goal body, but it doesn't mean that you hate your body, right? Or like,
so I understand where she's coming from here, and I don't necessarily completely disagree, but where there's a difference, right, is like you can be like, hey, I don't really want to make this content anymore, and just not make that content anymore, right? Like you don't have to, like, you know, with me, again, relating it to myself, I can be like, oh, I don't really want to make loose skin content anymore, and then, you know, if I got all of these loose skin surgeries and then started making content about the fact that I got these loose skin surgeries, I would not be surprised that people are like, what the, like, what, wait, what happened? Like, I thought that you felt this way, and now this is changing, you know? Like, there's a way that you can be like, hey, I don't want to make content about this anymore. And if you truly are fine with your flat chest or fine with the loose skin or whatever, you just continue to have that thing and then just shift your content, right? Like that's a possibility, right?
you love your black hair, but you can also just want to have red hair for a change. It doesn't mean that you hate your black hair, okay? Just like that, okay? I absolutely love my flat chest. But I also just want to try having boobs for fun, to see what it's like to have boobs, to see what it's like, what it looks like with clothes, you know? Of course I could see what boobs look like in clothes, but it would be from like pictures online. Like, I want to see it on myself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that body positivity and changing yourself is like the opposite of each other.
So again, I know I probably sound like a broken record. Like, if she was just this random person that did this, of course, like anyone, you can do whatever you want. I really don't care. And like, again, I don't think she's a terrible person. I think that there's obviously much worse stuff that has happened on YouTube and on the internet, for sure, right? But all I'm saying is I can understand where people are coming from and why they feel hurt, right? Why they feel betrayed or whatever, right?
Can coexist, okay? Life can be nuanced, you know? What you believe in can be nuanced. It doesn't have to be black and white. That is like teenage level thinking. When I was a teenager in my young 20s, I definitely believed that, oh, if you love yourself, like, I would never have work done because I love myself. Of course, that's great for you. That's great for you. If that's what you believe in. I totally believed in that before I turned 25. Okay, totally believed in that. That's a beautiful belief to have. But at the same time, it doesn't mean the people that have work done, that have treatments, hate themselves. It doesn't mean that they hate themselves, like, at all. It's just different way to show love for yourself, okay? There's multiple ways you can show love for yourself. You can show love for yourself by accepting yourself fully, everything about yourself, and don't want to change. That's all good. That's one type of self-love. There's also another type of self-love that you're like, I love myself top to bottom, you know, inside and out. I love myself. But there's also things that I want to try to change for fun, for experimentation, for growth. And that's also a valid type of self-love, okay? Now I fully accept that and embrace that I'm in this camp. I was in this camp before I was turned 25 and I love that life. I love myself, how I look at the time. I love my energy at the time. There's nothing wrong, but it doesn't mean that if there's nothing wrong, then I can't change, you know? I think I'm just like over-explaining at this point. But for me, it just comes down to that. It just comes down to the fact that growth comes in different way. Self-love comes in different types. And I'm in this camp right now. I don't know, maybe in 5 years, I may be in another camp. I would have no idea.
So I always feel like that's an interesting conversation, right? It's something that I've thought about a lot, right? Is the idea of self-love, does that mean that you can't make any changes, right? And then, you know, as far as like what counts as a big change, right? Is a haircut the same as a boob job? Is, you know, coloring your hair the same as getting a nose job? Is, you know, all of that stuff, right? And I've gone through many phases for sure on on YouTube. You know, I always kind of look different every few years, right? That's very common here. I have a mustache right now. Hey, shout out to that. And so like, I understand again where she's coming from here. And I do think that this is an interesting conversation to have. But again, it gets muddy when the whole crux of this person's, for the most part, their whole social media kind of, you know, career has been, I love this thing about myself, right? And then they are changing that thing. So it's not surprising that there are people that are, you know, calling that out or feeling a certain type of way, right?
Idea that I would have a boob job at 26. Okay, I have no idea where life would take me, what I would believe in when I'm a little bit older. Like, we constantly changing and evolving, and that's such a beautiful thing. Come back to the controversy about the video that I made, right? And a lot of people take it very badly, and I understand.
So the video that she's talking about here is that, you know, how I stay skinny video, right? Because there was a lot of people talking about that.
And honestly, the reason why I made that video, I was talking about it before, but I already know that it has the potential to really my reputation. It has the potential to really make me lose following. Honestly, at that time, I haven't come to terms with the fact that I want to break out of the body positivity community. I think since the second half of 2024, I already felt tired of the body positivity content that I made. Like, girl, I want change, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. We already went over that, okay? I felt tired doesn't mean that I don't like it, okay? I just felt a little bit tired and I wanted a change. Since later half of 2024, at that time, I already started.
So this is one of the biggest issues with I think, like, with algorithms and how it kind of assimilates everyone into a specific niche, right? And because you get popular from a specific niche, and then if you want to break out of that, people feel frustrated, right? It's one of the things that I talk a lot about with like people that want to lose weight and they want to post stuff on the internet about them, you know, losing weight. I'm always like, be very careful, because say you do start losing weight and people find you and they want to support you. If you start to struggle with weight loss or you decide you don't want to lose weight anymore, people become like disenfranchised. They feel upset. They feel hurt. They feel almost like they have a stake in the things that you have done, right? They feel like they can have a say in what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. And so it adds to what's already difficult, which is losing weight. That's a whole nother conversation. But this is the issue that I think she fell into, was that she was in a niche. She was in the body positivity niche and she wanted to get out of that. And so it seems like she is doing like the most extreme thing to get out of that niche. And what she's dealing with now is kind of the backlash from that. Honestly, I don't really know. And like I said, I said this many times. I don't think she's a terrible person. It seems that, you know, she is someone that made a decision. And I think that she is doing her best to come to terms with that. But I'm curious to see how this will affect her long term, right? Because I don't know what the videos will look like, how many people are going to stick around, how many people are just going to forget about her and, you know, be like, okay, well, I'm moving on. How many new people are going to, and you know what I mean? That's all stuff that we don't know yet, right? And so that is going to be interesting.
Started feeling like I wanted a change, I wanted a content shift, but I haven't come to terms with that, because the thing is, you know why? I've been making the same type of content for years, but the thing is, it keeps me so successful, okay? It brings in so much money, the views are crazy, people love it, I love all of my videos, okay? But just a part of me is like, I wanna have fun, like I wanna do other things. Okay, the thing is, I know logically, you can say that, Clara, you can literally do other stuff and like you don't have to like do a boob job and you don't have to releasing that video and we would still love you. We would still support your other content. But the kind of person I am is, and I think that maybe you could relate to this, because if I still have my flat chest, the type of content that I do, like the flat chested content, would still be the best performing content on my channel. You know why? I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. Like people just know about me because of my flat chest. And over time, I feel like I was boxed into that identity. I try to do other things. I try to do other type of content, but like as soon as I do another flat chest video, it's the best video ever. It's the best, most viral video. So I feel this like pull, right? To be like, okay, I try to make other types of content, but it seems like people still want my flat chest content the most. I'm still that flat chested girl, okay? I've been doing this for...
I think that's actually that's actually a pretty real statement. I don't know if it's fully true, but like, I think like stating that is very interesting, right? So she basically says, I got this breast augmentation because if I didn't, I would have always relied too much on the fact that if I make the flat chest content, that's going to get way more views, right? And then in turn make way more money. So she's almost saying like, if I had that crutch, I was going to use it. So by getting this breast augmentation, I don't have that crutch anymore. That's kind of the statement that's being said. Again, I don't know if I fully believe that, but that is incredibly interesting. And as someone that makes content, I can see where that makes sense in her mind, at least. So, hey, at least she's being honest in her way.
5-6 years, like, but people still love it, like, like that's stuck. I was stuck in the position of like, everything in my life is so good, okay? I could literally keep making the same type of content and make really good amount of money, have everything I ever want, but real growth, I don't see it, But I know I could keep doing that. I have a great life, okay? But that's like the comfort zone. I felt so comfortable in that first half of since 2024 till like early 2025. For a long time, I knew that I was just staying in my comfort zone. If I don't do something like, I don't know what this is, but like just something like really to like push me out of my comfort zone. Since I had my boob job, I felt like, oh, okay, now I can't rely on my flat chest anymore. I can feel totally free to explore other types of content, and like this is my new life. And I think that secretly I wanted that big change. And so
like kind of where I sit with this is that I think that that's that's fine. That's her explanation. And if that's how she genuinely feels, that's fine. I think that if that makes sense to her, that makes sense to her. But I also understand where people are coming from and why they feel hurt and why they feel upset. You know, I think it's easy to be like, well, it's not your body, so you shouldn't care. To an extent, yes, I can understand that, but I can understand people being like, I found you and I supported you because you said this, right? And you made me feel that this is what you care about and this is important to you. And then when that completely changes, I can understand them being like, I don't want to support you anymore. I don't think that makes them a bad person. But just like I don't think that she's an evil person for making this change and just, you know, having a change. But it's interesting, if we read the comments, it seems that the vast majority of people aren't really agreeing with her. You know, it says like, this is the top comment right here. It's like a vegan saying they want to change and start eating chicken. Good for you. But the community you've created doesn't match your thoughts, right? Clara, I get that you wanted to change, but recently your videos haven't been body positive. Once you fit it into the current beauty standards, you changed a lot. And if you wanted surgery, you can get surgery. Just the fact that you were telling people to feel confident in their body and go against that is what's shocked everyone. Not saying that you're a bad person. I'm just saying that you should maybe try to change the body positive YouTuber title as you went against that. What that is all about, right? And so that's basically, that seems to be where people are sitting, and like I can understand that. And like, again, I don't think she's a terrible person, but I think this is a decision she's made, and her audience and the people that did support her are going to make a decision based on that, and that's obviously their prerogative, and that's something that they can do. But just in general, I felt like this was very interesting because I feel like I can relate to it to an extent, because I am someone that when I first, you know, had my viral video, it was about, you know, kind of being positive about my loose skin. And there was a time when I was talking about that a lot more, and I slowly transitioned away. But, you know, I didn't make a huge statement about it. It was just, you know, hey, this is not something I want to always talk about. So I just didn't always talk about it, right? And so I'm not saying that what I did was right and what she did was wrong. It's all nuance. Everyone's different. But I just felt like it was so interesting when I heard about this, when I was talking about it on the podcast. I was like, I really want to talk about this in the video. But yeah, I would love to know what people think down in the comment section down below. I don't know. Like, I think there might be differing opinions. Maybe people disagree with me. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I would love to know what you think down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.